All right, let's talk about self-esteem. You know, that thing where like you gotta have like an evaluation or an opinion about yourself. And like, when you kind of see through the self, kind of no need to have self-esteem. Like, I'm also gonna go through, well, okay, some background is I went to school for sociology, and that's what I got my degree in. And there was actually a chapter talking about self-esteem and how not every culture has self-esteem. So if you're watching this and you're in a culture without self-esteem, this might not be relevant like at all. But if you do think about self-esteem or evaluate yourself in some way, this might be helpful. Well, anyways, in this chapter, they're talking about how, well, in like the 80s or 90s, don't quote me on the exact like year, but there was a group of sociologists wanted to measure the self-esteem of people in other countries compared to the United States, which is where I'm from. And they found out that when they went abroad, that certain cultures just didn't understand the question when they asked them, like, what did you think about yourself? And they didn't have an answer. Yet the interesting bit is around like the turn of the century, when more American media and stuff got more globalized and our cultural values really spread, and you go to the same cultures and ask them, yes, now they understand the concept of self-esteem. So, yeah, you don't, self-esteem isn't something that's universal. It's something that's kind of came about over time, mostly because people wanted to try to like gauge where they are, have an opinion about where they are or who they are, if they're good or if they're bad. But like all this spiritual stuff is pointing to is these are all just thoughts. And you really don't need to have self esteem. I'm pretty sure a baby doesn't have self esteem. And you can look at animals, like, they're probably not constantly thinking if I'm good or bad. They can probably they're still experiencing things like fear and stuff, but it's not based on like a self, like, oh, I'm not good enough, so I'm afraid. Like, there's the normal visceral fear. Like, if you see like someone holding a knife, you're probably gonna be afraid, maybe, maybe not. But the self-esteem part is like, oh, like this means something about me. Like I just said like a lot. Like let's look at that in terms of self-esteem. Like, there are people that say you say like too much, that's bad for speech. But I'm at this really weird point where I just kind of don't care. So if I can do something and know practically this is not a good idea or not very efficient, like I can acknowledge that. I can even see that. But when you're like you don't really care about your self-esteem, you can just make quote unquote mistakes and just brush the mistakes right off because you don't see them as mistakes because a mistake is just another thought in your head. Like, oh, this is wrong. Oh, that's just a thought. But the natural flow of things is just whatever is happening, whatever's naturally happening. So you need like an opinion or like a self to judge yourself. You need a thought that's judging more thoughts about yourself. Those are more just thoughts. So really, you can abandon self-esteem and just kind of live. Like you see people like, I can't be happy until that's self-esteem. Like I have to earn my happiness, or even I can't cry because it's not that bad. Like, you gotta earn your sadness. Like that's a form of self-esteem. Like you have this opinion of yourself of how you should be, and you really don't need that. Like self-esteem is just giving yourself permission to act a certain way based on a thought that says, "Oh yeah, if I achieve this, then I can be happy." But that's just absurd. Or until something absolutely tragic happens, I can't cry. Or any kind of mental framework that just goes, yeah, I can't experience this unless this happens. And it's just honestly, it's absurd. You can just be exactly as you are, like without a self to reference. There's no how you should be, and it's just how you are naturally. This is a fairly short video, but I do have one more thing to share. this came about from some other people that shared something with me, and I need to go grab it because I'm quoting someone. I'm probably gonna butcher the name, but it's related to self-esteem. I don't remember what kind, but this is also from a Buddhist. Well, I don't have like a particular specific spirituality, but this, I'm gonna butcher this name, but it's Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche. I cannot pronounce this name, but so he was being interviewed, and I'm going to quote: "The first time I came to the United States, a lady came to me and said, 'I have low self-esteem.' That was the first time I had heard those words." She went on, "I always think I'm bad, a failure. Even if I do something good, I translate it immediately into something bad. Even if someone says, 'I love you,' I think they don't love me. They love my career." And she asked me, "What should I do?" I couldn't give her a direct answer because I didn't know what she was talking about. So I researched low self-esteem. I asked some other people, and then I created low self-esteem within myself using my imagination. I changed myself into her, put myself in her place, and thought, I am no good. I am nothing. One day I finally felt low self-esteem. I was so happy. Suddenly, I knew what she was talking about. So yeah, self-esteem isn't a universal thing. You don't need it. You don't need to evaluate yourself. You don't need to form an opinion of yourself. You don't gotta have this structure of good or bad for yourself, or really anyone else. There's something far more natural. But I'm just going to end with, you don't need like the structure that tells you how you should like feel or be or anything. You can just be as you are, and you can let go of self and be self-esteemless. Yeah. All right. Bye.